When homes is no longer safe, disturbing evolution of Nigeria's kidnapping crisis. The knocks on the door that becomes a national nightmare. Imagine receiving a phone call that changes your life forever. The husband leaves home expecting to return to his family at the end of the day. Instead, he receives devastating news. Armed kidnappers have invaded his home and abducted his wife. As shocking as that sounds, what happened next is even more disturbing. The kidnappers reportedly contacted the husband for ransom and demanded compliance. But when they felt he was not responding quickly enough, they allegedly returned to the same house within a short period and kidnapped the daughter as well. Think about what that means. Not only were criminals able to enter the residential community, adopt a woman and leave, they were confident enough to come back again. They were bold enough to revisit the crime scene. They were certain enough that they would face little resistance. This is not merely a kidnapping story, it is a frightening reflection of a deeper national security crisis. Because when criminals can return to the same house within minutes to adopt another family member, the question facing Nigeria is no longer whether insecurity exists. The question is, how did we get here? For many years, kidnappings in Nigeria followed a recognized pattern. Victims were often travelers on highway, wealthy business people, politicians, expatriates, or individuals perceived to possess substantial financial resources. Over time, however, the crime evolved. Criminal groups learned that waiting on highways was no longer enough. Security checkpoints increased, public awareness improved, potential victims became more conscious. As a result, many criminal networks adapted. The target shifted from roads to communities, from highways to farms, from workshops or workplaces to schools, and now increasingly from public spaces to private homes. This evolution reveals a troubling reality. Kidnappers are no longer opportunistic criminals looking for isolated targets. Many have become organized enterprises with surveillance capabilities, informatics, communication network, financial structures, and operational planning. In some cases, they appear to possess detailed knowledge of family routines, movements, occupations, and economic circumstances. The Edo incident raises uncomfortable questions. How did the kidnapper know when the husband was away? How long had they been monitoring the family? Did they receive information from insiders? Did they believe security agencies would not be able to respond quickly? These questions point toward a broader challenge that extends far beyond one household. The death of a safe home. Throughout human history, the home has represented one thing above all else: safety. People endure difficult jobs, stressful environment because they believe they can return home and find protection. Parents reassure children that home is where they are secure. Family invest their savings into building houses because ownership symbolizes stability. But what happens when the home itself becomes vulnerable? The psychological consequences are profound. Fear on the road is one thing. Fear inside your own bedroom is something entirely different. When criminals can enter homes at will, citizens begin to lose one of the most basic foundations of psychological security. Suddenly, every knock on the gate becomes suspicious. Every unfamiliar face becomes a potential threat. Every strange movement at night becomes a source of anxiety. The result is a society living under chronic stress. The chronic fear changes people. It changes how they interact with neighbors. It changes how community functions. It changes how children grow up. It changes how citizens view their country. The greatest damage of insecurity is not always physical. Sometimes it is psychological. Sometimes it is slow destruction of the society's sense of safety. While criminals are becoming more fearless, one of the most troubling aspects of this incident is the extraordinary confidence displayed by kidnappers. Criminals generally fear consequences. The consequences are swift and certain. Crime becomes riskier. But when arrests are rare, prosecutions are slow, convictions are limited, and criminals network continue operating, a different psychology emerges. The fear shifts. Citizens become afraid. Criminals become confident. This confidence does not appear overnight. It develops when criminal actors repeatedly observe that their activities produce reward with relatively low risk. This does not mean security agencies are inactive. Across Nigeria, law enforcement personnel often operate under difficult circumstances, including manpower shortages, funding constraints, equipment challenges, intelligence gaps, and vast territories requiring surveillance. Many officers have made significant sacrifices in combating violent crime. However, isolated successes cannot hide systemic weaknesses. The persistence of kidnapping suggests that criminal networks continue funding opportunities to exploit institutional vulnerabilities. Where intelligence gathering is weak, criminals gain freedom. Where corruption exists, information leaks occur. When persecution drags on for years, deterrence weakens. Where police presence is limited, response times suffer. And where condition between agencies is inadequate, criminal organizations exploit the gaps. The economic damage caused by kidnapping often receives less attention than the human tragedy. Yes, its effects are enormous. Investors do not invest where they feel unsafe. Business do not expand where employees fear for their lives. Farmers cannot cultivate land effectively if they risk abduction. Teachers struggle to work in insecure environments. Parents hesitate to send their children to school. Tourism disappears. Property value decline. Commercial activity slows. Capital relocate elsewhere. In practical terms, insecurity acts like an invisible tax on economic growth. Every security gate installed, every private guard hired, every business relocation, every abandoned farm, every cancelled investment, every community emptied by fear, all represent economic losses. The consequences extend far beyond the immediate victims. Entire region can become economically stagnant when insecurity becomes normalized. When citizens lose confidence in the state, perhaps the most dangerous long-term consequences of widespread kidnapping is the erosion of trust in the government institutions. Every modern state exists partly because citizens agree to surrender certain power in exchange for protection. This is the foundation of the social contract. People pay taxes, people obey laws, people support institutions. In return, the state provides security and order. When citizens begin to doubt the state's ability to protect them, that social contract weakens. The consequences can be serious. Communities begin relying on vigilantes. Residents form self-defense groups. Private security becomes more important than public security. People increasingly believe they must protect themselves because institutions cannot protect them. While community security initiatives can be valuable, excessive reliance on self-help approaches carries risk. Without accountability and professional standards, such systems can create new problems, even as they attempt to solve existing ones. What safer society do differently? No country is completely free from crime. However, societies that successfully contain kidnapping typically share certain characteristics. First, intelligence systems are proactive rather than reactive. Authorities identify threats before crimes occur. Second, law enforcement response is rapid and technologically supported. Third, prosecutions are efficient and convictions are meaningful. Fourth, community intelligence network encourage information sharing. Fifth, criminals understand that the likelihood of capture is high. The objective is not merely punishment, it is deterrence. The most effective security system convinces criminals that crime is not worth the risk. That perception is critical. What must be done? The kidnapping crisis requires a comprehensive response. Government must invest more heavily in intelligence-driven policing. Security agencies require enhanced technological capabilities, improved interagency coordination, and stronger investigative resources. In fact, state policing. Judicial process involving kidnapping cases should be expedited to ensure timely justice. Community must strengthen local vigilance without abandoning the rule of law. Traditional rulers, religious leaders, and community organizations should play a larger role in gathering actionable information and identify suspicious activities. Citizens must also become more security conscious, report unusual movements, and cooperating with legitimate law enforcement. Most importantly, policy makers must recognize that kidnapping is not merely a criminal issue, it is a national development issue. It affects agriculture, it affects investment, it affects mental health, it affects national unity, it affects education, and ultimately, it affects the future of the country. Final thought is this: are Nigerians truly safe? The most haunting detail in the Edo State incident is not that the woman was kidnapped. It is that the kidnappers reportedly returned to take another family member. That single detail tells a larger story. It speaks of audacity. It speaks of confidence. It speaks of criminals who apparently believe they could act with minimal resistance. And it forces Nigerians to confront an uncomfortable question. If armed kidnappers can invade a home, live with a victim, then return shortly afterward to adopt another member of the same family, what does that say about the state of security? What does that say about the state of response? A nation cannot thrive when citizens are afraid to travel. A nation cannot prosper when farmers fear their fields. A nation cannot develop when investors fear uncertainty. And a nation cannot truly secure when families fear their own homes. The Edo incident should not be viewed as an isolated tragedy. It should serve as a national wake-up call, because the real danger is not only the kidnapping of individuals. The real danger is the gradual kidnapping of public confidence, community trust, and the sense of safety that every citizen deserves. Government authorities, security agencies, community leaders, and ordinary citizens must confront this challenge with urgency, seriousness, and collective resolve. Otherwise, the greatest victory for the kidnappers will not be the ransom they collect. It will be the fear they leave behind. And once fear becomes the defining reality of everyday life, everyone loses. Thank you for joining this analysis. I'll see you in my next one.